PYX 106.
1-800-LAW-1010. It's 1-800-LAW-1010.com. Paul Harding from Martin Harding Mazzotti on the phone.
I just want to say thanks for coming on early. You got Paul on a little earlier today than normal. Because we wanted some details on the Hulk Hogan lawsuit. For beginners like me, what's punitive? What is punitive damages?
Yeah, it's kind of a fancy word for punish. You know, it's going to be, you got all kinds of damages. You got damages where actual out-of-pocket damages. You got damages for your physical and mental injuries. And then sometimes, rarely, but sometimes there's an award to punish the defendant.
But none of the money that Hulk Hogan won on Friday from Gawker was punishment to Gawker? I mean...
Yeah, he kind of went down as
maybe
lost money that he from his... he claimed that, you know, as a result of this, you know, he's become less marketable. That was a big part of it. And then his emotional distress was the other part of it.
But they split that 100 and whatever million into two chunks. Like one of them was one thing, one of them was another. And then that's, I think, the confusion is that how do they do that? And then all of a sudden the punitive. So the real question is, will he get any of it and then when?
Yeah. Well, you know, if you talk to legal scholars, and I happen to know one really smart constitutional guy, and I did reach out to him. He's out in New York City, and you know, these guys love talking about stuff like this, and it really is just at a higher level. But First Amendment versus Fourth Amendment, right? The freedom of speech versus freedom of privacy. You know, his impression is that the appellate courts are going to take this case and they're going to put it back into the trial level, and hopefully they think the case will get dismissed, meaning they think he's not going to get anything from this, even though the jury did it, simply because he's a public figure. As a public figure, you have a lot less rights than the average person, and therefore they were within their rights to publish this under the auspices of journalism.
But no way. No way. If I don't care how famous you are, you have to sign off on whether or not a nude video. If Hulk Hogan wanted to take that video and make money with it, he could.
Right.
But there's no way you can put someone else's ass out there without any kind of
but
approval.
There's like that public figure factor.
Paul, did the jury screw this up by being so overzealous? They gave him more than he asked for.
Yeah, I saw this going down as ultimately, you know, a $4 or $5 million kind of case, a big case. $4 or $5 million is a big case. And, you know, Hulk Hogan's not, you know, he's not an A-lister, call it what it is, right? He certainly had his moment in the sun. We know who he is. And this would probably been a good resolution for him. There was no money offered, so he didn't have a chance to even take anything. So along the way, at any point, there can be money offered, Hulk Hogan take it, and then things just get really quiet.
Okay.
But they're going to appeal it, and they have a pretty strong argument to kind of claim that as a public figure, it kind of trumps the First Amendment, freedom of press.
We're trying not to use that word on the show today, by the way, Paul.
Sorry.
Trump?
Yeah,
kind of use it in different contexts, but I hear you. Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you one quick question. You know, I'm watching the OJ thing, and I remember the Goldmans going for their civil trial and getting $35 million or something for murder. You know, it's you know, inflation aside, that wasn't that long ago. It seems like we've really gone crazy nuts with the money and damages and that kind of thing.
It seems like we've gone crazy nuts with people's privacy, though.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
America takes that seriously.
But you know, sex tape versus everybody in murder.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seemed to me like wow, you know, I don't know, just some perspective maybe.
Paul,
well, they didn't.
Go ahead, Paul.
No, well, they didn't get on the OJ case. Just as quick, they recovered very little. They had a big verdict. Of course, the jury came in outraged, $35 million. Big verdict. They recovered very little. Here, there's also an indication that there's not a whole lot of money to pay the Hulk. So he's going to put that into his decision, his legal team, if there's money offered to resolve this.
All right, so that was my question, my final question. But when you go to the punitive part of the trial, whatever didn't Gawker have to admit or disclose all the money they actually had?
Yeah, and some of the folks, you know, I mean, one of the individual defendants owed $27,000 in student loans and had nothing, right? But the main publisher, you know, does have assets, and
but can we trust that figure? Like, you can't lie when you're in a.
Well,
can you?
No. Well, I guess you always can, but it would be a bad thing to do that, right? Because it would be a crime.
Disguised.
So now it goes out of the civil context into the criminal context. I'm not saying people haven't done it, but now you're really crossing a line that's going to get you in more trouble than a civil judgment.
Because I only asked because I thought Gawker said when they had this claim that they had $200 million.
Right.
If you have $200 million and he wins 115 plus $30 million, I feel like you could pay for that.
That could be like assets, though. I mean, was it
assets? That's assets.
I think that's probably what they're valuing. The goodwill of the newspaper, what the assets are of the newspaper, future profits. Yeah, it's one of those.
Paul, you're adorable.
There I go. I've dated myself, haven't I?
That's all right. I actually talked about subscribing the other day. Quinn didn't even know what that was.
I got to be careful. Yeah.
No.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for joining us
All
early
right,
today.
guys.
It's Paul Harding, Martin Harding Mazzotti, 1-800-LAW-1010, 1-800-LAW-1010.com.
Quinn and Cantara, mornings on PYX 106.